How close has your team come to a Super Bowl? For some, the answer is glory. For others, it's heartbreak, missed kicks, and blown leads that haunt generations. Today, we're breaking down all 32 NFL teams, from those who have never snipped the big game to dynasties defined as much by crushing defeats as historic wins. Let's get over it. Part 1. Never been to the Super Bowl. Let's start with the unluckiest club of all, the teams that have never even tasted the Super Bowl stage. No matter how hard their fans believe, the Lombardi Trophy has always stayed just out of reach. Cleveland Browns. Few fan bases know pain like Cleveland's. In the 1980s, the Browns had not one, not two, but three chances to make the Super Bowl. Each time, standing in their way was John Elway and the Denver Broncos. First came the drive in 1987 when Elway marched 98 yards in the AFC Championship to break Cleveland's heart. Then, the very next year, came the fumble. Ernest Biner dropped the ball on the doorstep of a game-tying touchdown. 3 straight years, 3 straight gut punches. Browns fans don't just know heartbreak, they practically invented it. Detroit Lions. What's harder than wasting 30 years for a championship shot? Waiting forever. For the Lions, the NFC Championship has been their ceiling. In 1991, they got bulldozed by Washington, and in 2024, that one still hurts. Up by 17 points against the 49ers in the NFC title game, only to watch it slip away in the second half. Can you imagine being a Lions fan, daring to believe, only to have the rug yanked out again? Houston Texans. Born in 2002, the Texans are still the NFL's newest kid on the block. But in 2 decades, they haven't even cracked a conference championship. A couple of divisional round trips, sure, but for Houston, the Super Bowl might as well be on Mars. Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jags have had chances, and they've been so close. In 1996, as a Cinderella story, they fell to the Patriots in the AFC title game. In 1999, again, just 1 win short. And in 2017, they were up on Tom Brady's Patriots in the fourth quarter. One more stop and they'd be dancing in the Super Bowl. But, of course, Brady happened. For these 4 franchises, almost has been the theme. And for their fans, the question lingers. Will they ever break through? Part 2. Have been, never won. Now we move to the Heartbreak Hall of Fame, the teams that made it all the way to the Super Bowl, only to leave empty-handed. Their fans know the pain of being so close, of tasting the confetti, only to watch it fall for someone else. Minnesota Vikings. Few teams symbolize near-miss heartbreak quite like the Vikings. They've been to 4 Super Bowls, 4, 8, 9, and 11, all in the 1970s. And they lost all 4. Even worse, they never held a lead in any of them. The only silver lining? The franchise had 3 NFL championships before the merger, but those rings feel like black and white photos compared to the Super Bowl era. Vikings fans have been waiting ever since. Buffalo Bills. Then there's Buffalo. 4 straight trips to the Super Bowl in the early 90s, an achievement no one else has ever matched. And they lost all 4. The first one still stings the most. Super Bowl 25, when Scott Norwood lined up for a 47-yard field goal in the final seconds and missed wide right. The Giants won 20-19. After that, Dallas humiliated Buffalo twice, and Washington got them once too. Can you imagine watching your team reach the biggest stage 4 years in a row and never once come away with the trophy? Bills Mafia can. Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals have been snake-bitten 3 times. First in Super Bowl 16 against Joe Montana's 49ers. Then in 23, when they actually led late in the game, only for Montana to march 92 yards and throw the game winner in the final minute. And, most recently, in Super Bowl 56, Joe Burrow and the Bengals had a shot on 4th down to keep their hopes alive. Aaron Donald blew up the play, and the Rams sealed it. Cincinnati fans can't help but ask, what if that one block held a second longer? Carolina Panthers. Twice they've been on the brink, twice they've been denied. In Super Bowl 38, they battled Tom Brady's Patriots in a shootout. With just seconds left, Adam Vinatieri nailed a field goal that crushed Carolina's dream. Their second shot in Super Bowl 50 was spoiled by Von Miller's Broncos defense smothering Cam Newton. Atlanta Falcons. One number haunts Atlanta forever, 28-3. That was their lead in the third quarter of Super Bowl 51. And then Tom Brady engineered the most improbable comeback in NFL history, forcing overtime and snatching victory. To this day, 28-3 is more than a score. It's a meme, a scar, and a symbol of collapse. Arizona Cardinals. For a moment in Super Bowl 48, it looked like the Cards had it. Larry Fitzgerald caught a go-ahead touchdown with under 3 minutes left. The franchise was this close to its first Lombardi. Then Ben Roethlisberger drove the Steelers downfield, and Santonio Holmes made one of the greatest toe-tap catches in history to rip it away. Los Angeles Chargers. Back when they were the San Diego Chargers, they made their only Super Bowl in 1995. Unfortunately, it wasn't much of a contest. The 49ers blew them out 49-26, and the Bolts haven't snipped the big game since. Tennessee Titans. Their one Super Bowl appearance, 34, is unforgettable and not in a good way. Down 23-16 to the Rams, Steve McNair drove the Titans to the 10-yard line. With seconds left, Kevin Dyson caught a pass and was tackled just 1 yard short of the end zone. Titans fans still replay that moment in their heads. What if he stretched just a little further? Part 3. Winners with famous heartbreaks and long droughts. Now, some teams have climbed the mountain, raised the Lombardi, and written themselves into history. But here's the catch. Even champions can live in droughts and heartbreaks. Because for every parade, there are decades of what-ifs. New York Jets. Back in 1969, Broadway Joe Namath pulled off one of the greatest upsets ever, guaranteeing and delivering a win in Super Bowl III. Jets fans thought it was the beginning of a dynasty. Instead, it was the beginning of a desert. The Jets haven't been back since. In fact, they've lost 4 AFC championships since then. Imagine waiting over 50 years for just one more shot. That's life as a Jets fan. Dallas Cowboys. America's team once ruled the NFL. 5 Super Bowl wins, 3 in the 1990s alone. Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, and Michael Irvin. The dynasty was real. But since then, not a single Super Bowl appearance. They've had talented rosters, heartbreaking playoff exits, and a mountain of NFC title game failures. Cowboys fans still brag about the rings, but quietly wonder, when's the next one coming? San Francisco 49ers. 5-time champs thanks to legends like Joe Montana and Steve Young. But the other side of their story? A record 11 conference championship losses. Even in recent years, the Niners have fallen just short. A gut-wrenching loss to the Chiefs in Super Bowl 54, another collapse against Kansas City in Super Bowl 58. For a team with such a golden legacy, modern heartbreak has been brutal. Green Bay Packers. Titletown has 4 Super Bowl wins, led by icons such as Bart Starr, Brett Favre, and Aaron Rodgers. But since their last ring in 2010, the Packers have been haunted by NFC Championship heartbreaks. Blown leads, overtime defeats, and the infamous onside kick collapse against Seattle in 2014. Fans ask the same question every January. How can one of the league's proudest franchises keep finding new ways to fall short? Chicago Bears. One glorious run in 1985, one of the most dominant defenses ever assembled, and their only Super Bowl win. Since then, heartache. They made it back in 2006, but lost to Peyton Manning's Colts, and every other season has been a cocktail of disappointment and rebuilds. The monsters of Midway feel more like ghosts these days. Miami Dolphins. Back-to-back champions in the 1970s, home of the only perfect season in NFL history. But when Dan Marino led them to Super Bowl 19 in 1984, everyone thought he'd be back again and again. He never was. The Dolphins haven't returned since. For Miami fans, Marino's single appearance is the ultimate what could have been. Pittsburgh Steelers. 6 Lombardis, tied for the most in NFL history. But the Steelers' recent history hasn't been as kind. They lost Super Bowl 45 to Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, and since then, they've been bounced in painful playoff collapses. A team once known for closing out big games now feels stuck in neutral. Denver Broncos. In the 1980s, Denver became known for Super Bowl humiliation, 3 losses by huge margins. Then John Elway rewrote history, winning back-to-back titles in the 90s. Later, Peyton Manning delivered one more ring in Super Bowl 50. But even that came after the disastrous blowout loss to Seattle in 48. The Broncos story is a mix of redemption and repeated gut punches. Other champs with scars. The Colts got Peyton a ring, but also delivered years of playoff collapses. The Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes rewriting history, but remember decades of frustration before him. The Ravens, Rams, Saints, Buccaneers, Seahawks, and Eagles each have their golden moments, but also plenty of heartbreak, from the Saints' Minnesota Miracle to the Seahawks' infamous goal line interception. The Raiders, Giants, Commanders, and others have tasted glory, but know just as well what playoff pain feels like. Part 4. Dominant dynasties and repeated heartbreaks. Of course, no Super Bowl story is complete without the dynasties. The teams that didn't just make history, they defined it. But even giants bleed. New England Patriots. With 11 Super Bowl appearances, 6 wins, and 5 losses, no franchise has lived on the edge more. Think about it. Their dynasty was built on nail-biters. The Giants' helmet catch in 42, the shocking sequel in 46, the Eagles' 41-33 shootout in 52. For every Lombardi, there's been a razor-thin heartbreak. Patriots fans know better than anyone. Dominance doesn't come easy. Pittsburgh Steelers, San Francisco 49ers, Dallas Cowboys. These are the other Titans, each boasting at least 5 Lombardi trophies. But their journeys are littered with crushing playoff defeats. The Steelers have 6 rings, but losses in 45 and years of postseason collapses sting. The 49ers hold 5, but also a record 11 conference title losses. Heartbreak almost baked into their DNA. And the Cowboys? Once America's team, now a dynasty stuck in rewind, haunted by decades of failed NFC championship bids. Dynasties may own the spotlight, but even the greatest aren't immune to pain. Because in the Super Bowl era, legends are remembered for both the rings they won and the games they lost. Every franchise carries scars. Some never even sniffed a Super Bowl. Others reached the doorstep only to watch the trophy slip away by inches, a missed kick, a fingertip tackle, or a comeback collapse. That's the beauty and the curse of football. Heartbreak and hope live side by side. Because for every fan, pain is proof that you cared, and hope is what keeps you coming back. So what's your team's most heartbreaking memory? Was it ride, 1 yard short, or 28-3? Drop it in the comments below.